Alright, let's dive into a story where a normal dude becomes an absolute legend. This guy, Kang Giama, just got reincarnated into his favorite video game of all time. Now, he is about to take the entrance exam for the Elite Nobles Academy. While everyone else is filthy rich, our main character is completely, 100% broke. On day one, when he goes to register his sword, the professor loses his mind. The prof thinks some senior is playing a prank, but Giama doesn't back down. These tiny blades are all he has, since his family can't afford real tuition. Then, the professor spots the green badge on his uniform, and everything changes. It means he got in through a brutal special test, and the professor actually gets emotional. The rich students around him, yeah, they were definitely not feeling the wholesome vibe. Hearing that a poor kid made it through special admission, they complained about the smell. But watch closely, because Giama is not your average academy student at all. In his past life, things were never peaceful, so this time, he's claiming a chill life. He's young, handsome, and even though he awakened a rare ability, there's a weird catch. He can only use swords under 30 centimeters. Talk about a massive handicap, right? When testing his power, it felt like lightning shooting through his entire body. The sheer pain of activating this skill is honestly way too much for him to handle. If it hurts this bad every time, he's never going to use it again. He hopes it's just a first-time thing, but nope, the second time was just as brutal. Nearby, a massive crowd was gathering for the ceremony to set student ranks. All the top talents were there, and sitting right at the very top. Siegfried Faunabelong sat there, a legendary hero and disciple of the Academy founder. Now, you and I both know these legendary hero types are usually pretty bored. He's a disciple of the founder hero, and every student there absolutely worships him. But even another hero arriving didn't cheer up this grumpy old man at all. Medea, the legendary sage whose curves are famous, comes to greet the old man. Siegfried mocks her for being 70 years old while still trying to dress like a teenager. Medea isn't offended at all, actually taking the old man's rude comment as a total compliment. She even offers a blessing to make him look 10 years younger, but he refuses fast. He believes the elderly should accept nature, while Medea stays young through her magic. Despite his insults, she joins him to watch the first day of the academy. She used to hate these nobles, but she's curious about Siegfried's famous granddaughter. Looking down at the students, it was a sea of dyed hair and bright colors. Giama was the only one there with natural black hair, making him stand out. The jokes about him not being a noble didn't stop, until a certain girl finally appeared. A girl with blue hair and a stunning aura walked in, stopping everyone. This is Abel von Nibelung, the actual granddaughter of the legendary sword emperor himself. She's the main heroine of this game world, and now, the exam was finally starting. The school uses a special place called the subspace, created by one of the ancient heroes. Inside, you can be injured or eliminated, but you're safe in the real world. Because of this, every combat style is allowed, even the most lethal ones imaginable. So, let's see what kind of chaos our main character causes in this test. Inside the subspace, you can be hurt or even eliminated. But once you return to reality, your actual body stays completely unharmed. This allows any fighting style to be used, even the most lethal strikes. Stick with me here, survival is the only thing that earns you a rank. These two elders are eyeing the special student, while everyone else looks elsewhere. The crowd is obsessed with the girl and her legendary attributes, but our boy Giama. He could have joined the herd chasing after Abel, but he knows the truth. He knows her blessing is the real deal. But while the rest follow instincts, he heads the opposite way, casually reading a book on living a peaceful life. Living a quiet life here is the goal, because fighting means using that power. To survive here, he has to use that ability. Honestly, he'd rather just quit. When the subspace trial was announced, everyone was hyped except for one person, Giama. But once it actually started, he got serious. Within just 7 minutes it began. Students were sent back, absolutely shattered by the sheer agony of their defeat. Everyone is shaken. The media is watching closely as Abel takes the lead. She took first place easily, no surprise there, given her legendary family bloodline. One teacher is pumped to see Siegfried's granddaughter, but the other isn't impressed. Why? Because she failed to break Siegfried's ancient record. It stood for ages. Now watch closely. Just as the old man leaves, an overwhelming power hits. It feels like a physical punch to the gut. The students are paralyzed with fear. They're all staring at the sky. Media asks Siegfried if he knows what's happening. Not even the world's greatest hero has a clue. Every single eye is fixed upward. The sky itself is literally breaking apart. Impossible. Then, two figures fall from above. They drop from the heavens and slam into the ground with a bone-crushing impact. The silence is deafening. Media calls for medical teams to save the students. Now, let's rewind a few minutes. This was supposed to be a standard fight. But instead of a free-for-all, it's just two brothers absolutely wrecking the entire field. They are beating everyone to a pulp. Because of them, the outcome is obvious. This match was basically over before it even began. There is zero hope left. You and I saw it too. This isn't a battle, it's a death match. Meet the villains Mao Jun and Shun Mao, twins with a gift for violence. For 30 minutes, they've dragged this out, toying with everyone. They actually enjoy tearing people apart. It's a sick game for these two monsters. Giama looks so pathetic that they don't even see him as a threat. Their victims are all dead now. Bored, the brothers look for their next target. All that's left is one terrified girl shivering in the corner. They point at her. Their intentions are disgusting. Giama realizes he can't just stand by and watch anymore. As Shun Mao walks toward her, saying she's just his type, Giama snaps. That's it, the final straw. Our boy has finally had enough. He yells across the arena, catching the attention of those psychos. He stepped in on instinct. Now the brothers finally have him in their sights. They see his special admission tag and just laugh. To them, he is worthless. They decide to kill him fast so they can get back to the girl. Giama is panicking, facing both at once. His painless blessing only lasts 30 seconds. 30 seconds. That is not nearly enough time to deal with these monsters. He's only got one move left. The answer is inside his bag of knives. But if he draws a blade, his blessing activates, bringing back that nightmare pain. Trust me, you and I aren't ready for the pain coming next. All Giama wanted was a quiet life, but you and I know that never happens. He reaches into his bag for a knife, making the two brothers burst out laughing. Shuno's done playing games and lunges forward to take our main character out. Things are looking grim, but Giama is cooking up a desperate last resort. Use the painless blessing for 30 seconds to negate the sword god's backlash. He just needs to hold on. The painless blessing activates right now. He grips that sashimi knife tight as the timer starts ticking down. The sword god blessing flares up just as Shun Mao attacks with a twisted grin. Now watch this. It's do or die for our boy Giama right here. Can a simple kitchen knife actually cut through a human being? He remembers his old master, a former gangster, warning him about this. The old man called movie logic total nonsense, telling him the truth. You can't slash a person like fish, even with a god's help. But the blessing is absolute. If he wills it, he can cut anything. Trusting his power over his master, Giama thrusts at the massive attacker. Instant kill. Shun Mao is sliced clean in half right before our eyes. The other students and his brother Mao Jun just stand there frozen. The gloomy, quiet kid just pulled off the impossible with a kitchen blade. Two pieces fall to the floor. His brother lets out a blood-curdling scream. He tries to remember this is only subspace, and his brother isn't dead. But that doesn't change the horror he just saw. Mao Jun blames carelessness. Now it's up to him. The remaining twin has to finish the job. He grabs his brother's power gauntlet, fueled by pure, unadulterated rage. Equipped on both hands, the gauntlet's true legendary power finally awakens. Defense boosted, jump height increased by 200%, fists like iron. He's certain nothing can pierce his shield now, not even S-rank gear. But I know what you're thinking. Giama doesn't even care about him. He's just watching the clock, counting down the seconds of his immunity. Mao Jun sees a chance and rushes in for a dirty sucker punch. And just like that, it's game over, faster than a blink. Mao Jun is wrecked on the ground, while Giama finishes his countdown. The second it hits 0, the agony of the sword god returns. He screams in pure pain, still holding the knife before he collapses. Later, Giama wakes up in a clinic, surrounded by sterile white walls. Before he can even move, 2 figures walk into the room. He hasn't met them, but their power tells him everything he needs. The legendary 7-star heroes, Siegfried and the Academy's director, Medeidia. He's confused why the world's strongest heroes are here to see a kid. Medeidia asks for his name, but Siegfried is in no mood. His hand grips his sword tightly as he demands answers from our hero. They felt a terrifying power during the fight that came from him. The hostility in the air is so heavy, it's almost hard to breathe. Facing the strongest man alive, Giama knows he has to play it smart. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see how he survives this. He apologizes immediately, admitting he went way too far this time. Stick with me, Giama is ready to accept any punishment as these legends stare down. Medeidia steps in before a fight breaks out, telling Siegfried to stop terrifying the kid. Then she reveals a bombshell. While Giama was unconscious, Siegfried actually cleared his meridians. Giama can't believe a world-class swordmaster would do something that generous for a random student. But as he checks his internal energy, his body definitely feels much lighter now. Medeidia explains that they reviewed the footage and concluded he was just protecting a girl. She starts drooling a bit, calling Giama the handsome prince she has always dreamed of. This forced Siegfried to literally drag her back before she made things more awkward. The main point, she says, is that she won't give him any trouble for fighting. Better yet, those twins had a trash reputation anyway. And because of Giama's actions, both brothers have officially decided to withdraw from the school and never come back. Now watch this, because the next thing they tell him changes his life forever. They congratulate him for being the #1 scorer in the whole academy entrance exam. Just like that, Giama's dream of a peaceful and safe life has become completely impossible. Later, back in Medeidia's office, the 2 legendary heroes regroup to discuss the situation. Medeidia is complaining about something she hasn't seen in 20 years as head administrator. A candidate earned the top spot among all new students and then did the unthinkable. He rejected the offer to join the elite star class, the highest rank in school. They tried to ask him to reconsider, but Giama still does not want the attention. Medeidia asks Siegfried if he's upset that Giama beat his granddaughter for the rank. He saw the video and the boy's potential, but he does not agree with her. He sees this as nothing more than an immature child trying to challenge the system. He says the subspace carries the literal will of the founding hero of the academy. If the subspace recognizes Giama as #1, then the school has chosen him. You and I can see there is more to it, though. Siegfried is intrigued. He sees Giama as someone completely strange, unlike any warrior he has ever met. If his skills were outstanding or his physical abilities were great, it would make sense. But even if he had just a bit of experience, it would make sense. Siegfried could tell he had none of that, yet the video showed greatness. There was a master-level essence of skill in every single move Giama made. It represented the ultimate swordsmanship that he has been pursuing his entire life. While unblocking his points, he sensed how frail the boy's body really was. It was obvious that he had not received any physical training before this moment. But something is stored inside him that even the strongest humans cannot truly understand. Because of that, he's feeling incredibly competitive toward a kid his granddaughter's age. Medeidia, on the other hand, is just obsessed with the fact that he is attractive. She's still smitten that he used his hidden skills to save a woman in danger. She jokes that if she were 10 years younger, she would definitely chase him. Siegfried stays quiet, lost in thought, until she asks what is on his mind. He stays quiet for a moment before asking what students call administrators like her. Interested in his opinion, the school leader tells him to go on and answer. His response is definitely not what she wanted to hear, and she absolutely loses it. The office practically explodes in her anger as the old master just walks away. Meanwhile, Gama heads off to attend his very first class at the prestigious academy. Since he rejected the elite class, they moved him to wolf class. Trust me, it gets wild. Any lower, and the elders would have thrown a total fit. He originally wanted to join tiger class, but the media basically begged him for wolf instead. Trust me, you and I would have taken the same secret deal for peace. He just wanted to finish his studies safely in a much lower level class. Wolf class is pretty high tier, but it's still within the range he expected. Gama takes a breath and finally pushes through those massive new classroom doors. For a split second, every student in the room looks at him with curiosity. Then they realize he's just a special admission student and immediately lose interest. Gama doesn't mind one bit. It means Medea actually kept her end of the bargain. Now he can finally start living that peaceful, tranquil life he's always dreamed about. He heads for his desk when a familiar student starts walking toward him nervously. She shakily thanks him for helping her before, but Gama is totally lost. She clarifies that she's the girl he saved earlier during the entrance test. Gama brushes her off and tells her that she doesn't need to thank him. Now pay attention here, he thinks anyone would have done the exact same thing. It looks like he saved her, but he feels he only did it for himself. Accepting her gratitude right now would just make him feel like a total hypocrite. Gama quickly changes the topic by introducing himself to her as a distraction. The girl follows his lead and reveals that her name is actually Chloe. It's an interesting coincidence that they both ended up in the same class. Now that the introductions are done, Gama tries to remember her from the game. Maybe she was added after he quit, but that wouldn't make any sense. By the time he left, the core story was already way too far along. Introducing a new character then would be pointless, so she must be an extra. It looks like he just ran into a background character, exactly like himself. Gama asks her to keep that incident during the exam a total secret. He doesn't want rumors about his power, ruining his safe and easy lifestyle. Chloe agrees, but before she can make her own request, she gets cut off. Don't blink, because the homeroom teacher just barged into the room with a shout. Gama tells her to sit down so they can talk more about this later. The teacher, Lee Wanbin, introduces himself and congratulates the new faces of Wolf class. Since it's day one, he wants to start with some very basic physical training. 100 push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and 10 laps around the whole training area. For the genius nobles who have trained their whole lives, this is incredibly easy. For Gama, though, this is the kind of training that'll make him go bald. He nervously walks up to the teacher and claims he's not feeling strong enough. Surprisingly, the teacher knows his name and seems to think very highly of him. It looks like Medea didn't keep her impression of him a complete secret. Lee Wanbin even knows that Gama can take classes from any level he wants. He turns down the star class and tells the teacher he needs the bathroom. Lee Wanbin even knows that Gama can take classes from any level he wants. He turns down the star class and instead tells the teacher his real priority. He just wants the toilet, but that's how Gama is forced to join training. He joins the tedious exercise with the rest of the class as they sprint. Stick with me, he's already lagging behind and feeling like he's about to pass out. Stick with me, you're about to see how our hero survives the academy. Khlo catches up and casually mentions she is already on her 9th lap. She gives him a quick boost and then zooms off to finish her final one. By the end of the day, Gama is back in his room chugging water. He's only been here a week, and things are already getting pretty complicated. After training, he ran to the cafeteria only to find out meals aren't free. When he saw the price for one spicy pork rice, he totally froze. Just remembering the price makes him hurl his water bottle at the wall in a total rage. He's broke and regrets not taking the money his father offered. He severely regrets not taking the money his father tried to give him. For days now, he's survived on the cheapest water from the campus shop. He even misses the free army meals. For now, he just needs a distraction. Now watch this part closely. We're about to check his status screen again. The status screen pops up, and it looks way longer than before. His physical level rose, which also upgraded the blessing of the sword god. Now it can activate with slightly longer swords. He checks himself in the mirror. And sure enough, it looks like he has made some real physical progress. It's probably because the swordmaster activated his pressure points for him. It feels like his body has evolved, but the blessing is still short. He hopes to one day use a small sword with this power. His hands even start to itch when he isn't holding a blade. It's definitely a result of the blessing. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. He opens it to find Khlo standing there, wondering if she's interrupting. He asks why she came over. She hadn't seen him in the cafeteria. He lies and says he doesn't eat food made by others normally. But internally, he's salivating at the mere thought of a real meal. You and I both know he isn't turning down a dinner invite now. Khlo looks disappointed, saying she was hoping they could eat together tonight. Before she can even finish, he's dressed and ready to buy ingredients. Later that evening, the two have an amazing meal cooked by Giama. Khlo is genuinely impressed by his skills. It's a perfect match here. She loves fish, and his expertise is cooking them to perfection. The itch to hold a knife is gone, since he is slicing sashimi. The problem is his blessing. It activates even with a kitchen knife. He asks Khlo if she has a larger blade he can use. He says using his own weapons to cook would be too awkward. She heads into her room and comes back with a massive sword. It's way too big for a fish, but he has no choice. He's forced to use his painless blessing, which lasts 30 seconds. He just has to be fast enough to get the job done. You and I are about to see if he's still the greatest swordsman. Fish cutting has always been his specialty. Time to prove it. He flawlessly slices the fish and finishes in 21 seconds. That leaves 9 seconds of the blessing to spare. It was a masterpiece. Khlo is left speechless and asks him how he learned to move that fast. All right, stick with me, because our main character is actually a secret master in the kitchen. He admits he worked at a Japanese restaurant, but Khlo, being a noble, she is completely clueless. She doesn't even know what a part-time job is. Talk about a major social class gap. Once the meal is finished, Khlo offers to do the dishes as a thank you for dinner. He steps aside to give her some space while she gets to work on the cleaning. For the first time in a week, his stomach is full and he is feeling great. He starts humming a happy tune until the sound of a shattering plate suddenly breaks the silence. Khlo has zero experience in a kitchen, and her hands are just way too clumsy. He gets it, though. He used to be just as bad at breaking things himself. While he looks out the window, ignoring the crashing porcelain, a book falls from her desk. Now watch this part carefully. It is a diary, and it lands on a very specific page. She wrote all about him saving her during the placement test. It is actually really sweet. Her handwriting is adorable, filled with rounded letters and cute little stickers everywhere. He cannot help but pick it up and smile at her wholesome private thoughts. The wind catches the pages, flipping the book over to a section about their first meeting. She writes about how interested she is in him. He thinks it is the cutest thing. Getting curious, he keeps flipping through the pages, admiring how pure her feelings seem to be. But then he sees his name again, followed by something a lot more intense. Row after row of the words, "I love you," are written over and over again. Another plate shatters. He turns around to find Khlo staring with cold, dead eyes. Let us pause. You and I both know that look, and it is definitely not good. She asks if he read her diary. This emotionless state is a defense mechanism she has perfected. In this world, heroes gain status by slaying demonic beasts and building a global reputation. But while they sit at the top, there are corrupt factions that prey on the weak. When the law fails to stop these monsters, a group from the shadows takes over. The family responsible for this shadow justice is known as the Sicily House of Auditors. They are elite assassins who clean up the trash the light cannot reach, maintaining order. They operate in the darkness to serve the light, a terrifying cycle of hidden violence. Children born into the Sicily family do not have normal lives. They are raised to kill. Before they even hit their teens, they are already undergoing brutal, life-altering training. Their emotions are suppressed until they become nothing more than perfect, cold-blooded assassination machines. Kh is a true daughter of this blood-soaked lineage. Her past is dark. She claimed her first life at the age of 15. Let that sink in. She was taught never to doubt her lethal skills, which made her hyper-aware of herself. Over time, that relentless training twisted her heart, casting a deep shadow over her soul. By the time she reached academy age, her true self was buried under ice. Walken Academy is where the elite go. Students here are ranked by their aptitude. Most are on the level of dragons, but the Sicily family had other plans. She was forced into the common class as part of a secret academy deal. Her only mission: stay under the radar and keep her deadly identity a secret. Her family made sure no one would ever suspect the monster in plain sight. But as we just saw, keeping secrets from the person you love is hard. Now that he knows her truth, everything is about to get way more dangerous. Trust me, you and I are not ready for what happens next. Because once an assassin falls in love, things get messy. All right, you and I are seeing an assassin who fully accepted her dark fate. She believed nothing would ever change her destiny until she met someone special. She stood there defenseless while those two evil brothers approached her. But then, the person who looked like the weakest guy in the room stood up. Even though death in the subspace battle royale is fake and zero risk, this boy still tried to save her life. It changed everything for her. Chloe had quietly accepted her death, just waiting for the inevitable to happen. She gave up on struggling and was trained to be silent and unnoticeable. But because this boy stepped in, the sun finally came out for her. The darkness in her mind vanished. She watched as he gripped his sword. He didn't use it to assassinate, but for self-defense and protection. Watching him fight for her reminded Chloe of a fairy tale she read. She used to read it aloud under her pillow, in total secret. It was about a princess trapped in a castle being saved by a prince. As the memories came back, her chest tingles and her cheeks turn red. This strange new feeling in her heart was most certainly true love. Now watch carefully, because Giama has just committed the ultimate sin. He peeked into her private thoughts. She is staring him down in terror. He knows he is screwed and wonders how he ended up here. Was it the moment he stole the pure feelings of a girl? Or maybe when he followed her just because she offered some food? Regardless, he's now facing death itself in the form of this girl. His main priority is just surviving. He quickly tries to change the subject. He comments on the moon being lovely, trying to find a way out. Wait for it, she is not letting him finish his sentence. She asks him again if he saw her diary. He plays it off. He pretends he only saw her reference book and compliments her hard studying. But let's be real, no amount of flattery is saving his life right now. He can't believe she caught him reading it while she was busy washing the dishes. She was so busy he thought he was safe, but he was wrong. She has even abandoned her formal speech entirely. It's like her personality just did a total 180. It's like she became a different person instantly. He keeps promising he didn't see. She keeps pressuring him until finally, he admits he saw the whole thing. As soon as he says it, Chloe decides his life is officially over. She pulls out the same sword used for fish. Giama knows he's in trouble. Giama scans the room for options. They're on the 4th floor right now. Jumping out the window isn't an option. The front door is his only hope. But Chloe isn't letting him just walk out of here in one piece. She's coming right at him with the blade. His time is running out. He's trying to figure out why she's acting like a total monster. There's only one possibility. Her blank pupils and dark red eyes are the clue. He's dealing with a textbook yandere. This is a total nightmare. Her attitude shifted from a sweet strawberry to a fierce, cold-blooded killer. It's actually worse than he thought. She has a dangerous dual personality. Total nightmare, right? Stick with me, a dual personality is making this a total nightmare. Dealing with these traits is hard, but a disorder makes it even worse. It seems her mental shift was triggered when he opened that diary. He knows she will hunt him down forever if he doesn't find a solution. He has to find a way to snap her out of this state immediately. Securing his future means taking the lead today before things get worse. If he wants to survive, he needs a weapon, but options are thin. He has 9 seconds left, after spending 21 seconds slicing the fish. His own blade is in his room, but the kitchen knife is closer. Reaching for it would mean getting his arms severed by her katana. Scanning the room again, he spots a simple box cutter on her desk. Now pay attention here, this is the only thing he has left to work with. Can this tiny tool actually trigger the blessing of the sword god? Khlo finally lunges with her sword, and there's only one way to survive. He snatches the cutter, scattering pens everywhere as he slides the blade out. Suddenly, a flood of system status screens ignite right in front of him. Being this resourceful increases his mental resilience in this life or death situation. He temporarily gains a massive intimidation buff to help level the playing field. The system recalibrates everything before finally activating the power of the god. Khlo charges for the kill just as Giama prepares his counterattack. Before she can cut him down, he tells her hair is long. The intimidation freezes Khlo long enough for Giama to unleash the blade. Everything fades to black, and when Khlo finally wakes up later that evening, her room is dark, perfectly tidy, and empty of any other people. Her mind jumps to Giama, wondering where he could have gone off to. Let's pause for a second. The silence confirms she is totally alone. Her last memory is watching him from the window before things became fuzzy. She feels the sudden urge to find her katana and sees it nearby. The blade is leaning safely against her desk, exactly where it belongs. She usually loses consciousness while holding it, but thinks she held together. At least that's what she believes happened during their time together today. Back in her training days, she would black out while holding the blade. She'd wake up covered in blood while her elders dodged her questions. They would always dismiss her whenever she asked what happened while passed out. They always reminded her to never deny her true talent as an assassin. Still, the missing memories of her time with Giama make her feel embarrassed. She buries her head in her bed, hiding her face in deep shame. But that shame slowly turns into something else as she thinks of him. Then she notices the box cutter and realizes her hair is much shorter. Inside her trash bin, she finds the neatly cleaned clippings of her hair. She realizes he must have helped her and assumes it was for love. She opens her journal to write about her growing passion for him again. Giama, however, isn't feeling romantic at all. He is just glad to be alive. In this moment, he can barely believe he made it out in one piece. And trust me, you and I would be throwing up our lunch too after that. Stick with me as we see Giama thanking Khlo for the meal. 9 seconds of blessing ended, and 5 seconds later, he's struggling. He feels incredibly sick after throwing up his best meal in weeks. Giama sits on a bench, trying to figure out his next move. He's starving again and feeling worse than before Khlo visited him. His mind drifts back to her. Just who is she exactly anyway? Her swordsmanship is sharp, perfectly honed to end a life instantly. The way she handles that blade, she's constantly hunting for vital spots. It's like her entire technique is specialized for one thing: assassination. If she'd caught him off guard, Giama wouldn't have survived. End of. He felt his life was threatened and instinctively aimed for her neck. Luckily, his knife was too short. He only managed to clip hair. He cleaned the mess before leaving to avoid any trouble later on. But this is proof that a peaceful life won't be that simple. You and I both know that being ordinary is his hardest challenge. When he first got dropped into this game, he had ambition. In his past life, he reached the peak with a sashimi knife. He can't just let go of his dreams, but roles are set. In this world, he was summoned as a literal, completely unimportant background character. Miracle Blessing is the title and the name of the hero's power. It was also the gift of the legendary founding hero, Valor Jason. In the game, only those two ever held that legendary power. The description of the legendary blessing was actually very straightforward and to the point. Their only destiny is to save the whole world from demons. The protagonist gets chosen by Bamang, a rank double S-sword. It's both holy and cursed. Meanwhile, Giama has a basic sashimi knife. There's nothing more to say. He's bound for a life of obscurity. The stream of extraordinary people at the academy is exhausting him. All these situations almost made him forget about his original goal. There are plenty of reasons to give up on that simple life. It's even more apparent now, because it seems like there isn't one normal person left. Now pay attention, because the real story is finally about to begin. He has a grasp on the characters, but limited world knowledge. It's already been a week since he joined this academy. That means the protagonist should have awakened and started the admission. This is when the actual story of the game finally begins. Giama knows the plot, but he never played it to the end. For the first time, he really regrets quitting the game halfway. Still, knowing the canon route for the first half helps a lot. That already gives him a massive advantage in this dangerous world. All he has to do is stick to the canon route, period. If he starts meddling, he'll lose the only advantage he has left. He remembers the storyline taking a sudden, dark turn very soon. In the third year, demons realize the hero is awake and attack. Trust me, the academy is about to face a nightmare we won't forget. All right, you and I are dropping right into a brutal clash between humans and demons. This isn't just a skirmish, it's full-blown war, spiraling into a classic fantasy nightmare. Back when he played this game, he just wanted a peaceful, youthful life. A second chance at the teenage years he never had, so he deleted it. But now, he's trapped inside a world that's literally destined for total destruction. The threat is real. There's a massive chance he'll get killed in the crossfire. He has 3 years to prepare, time to stop running and start making moves. No more escaping reality. He has to lock in and focus on survival. He won't let himself die. Growing stronger is his only way out of this. Thankfully, these cliché stories usually have a hero who manages to save everything. If he wants a happy ending, he needs enough power to protect himself. He can't be some helpless minor character that gets written off in Chapter 1. The plan is simple: train hard, stay alive, and keep a very low profile. That means minimizing his use of the blessing of the sword god for now. Every single time he relies on that power, it puts immense, unbearable strain on his body. It's an overpowered ability, sure, but the drawbacks are way too high for him. Just thinking about the blessing triggers a status window filled with detailed info. But wait, there's some new data here that he definitely didn't notice before. He sees 3 new categories listed: body, mind, and armament grade, all with levels. These levels track his growth, and leveling them up will finally reduce the blessing's toll. This is exactly what he needs to bridge the gap between his godly power and physical limits. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's a mysterious new stat called synchronization. He has 0 clue what it means, and the description is just a bunch of question marks. Tapping it does nothing. Access is denied because he hasn't met the secret conditions yet. It's another mystery for later, but right now, he has much bigger problems to solve. His main priority is clear. He needs to toughen up and find a new weapon. He can't depend on that 30-second burst of invincibility forever. It's way too risky. He needs a sword that won't trigger the blessing's conditions every single time. Lucky for him, there's a monster hunting midterm coming up in just 1 month. He's eyeing the top reward, a powerful B-tier longsword called More Same. The grand prize for the training is a longsword called More Same. It's a B-tier weapon that's reliable enough to carry him all the way to graduation. Best of all, it's too massive for the blessing to activate, which is perfect. Everything is finally falling into place. You and I can see he's making real progress. But just as he's lost in thought, a sudden voice snaps him back to reality. He looks up and sees someone he never expected to encounter in person. It's Abel von Nibelung, the Sword Emperor's granddaughter and a literal high-tier powerhouse. She's the last person he should be talking to if he wants to avoid changing the plot. She bluntly tells him he's in her seat, but he's too stunned to move. She actually has to yell at him before he finally realizes he's blocking her spot. He quickly slides away to give her space, still reeling from the sudden encounter. Up close, Abel is so stunningly pretty that he accidentally finds himself staring like an idiot. As he tries to make a quick exit, she tells him there's no need to leave. She just wants him to shuffle over a bit so they can share the bench. So, you and I leave him there, trying his best not to change the future. All right, stick with me, because we are about to meet the most beautiful heroine in the entire game. She is absolutely gorgeous, just as Giama expected, but then she suddenly starts talking to him. That snaps Giama back to reality. This whole situation is just way too weird for him. See, the Abel he knows is normally cold and doesn't give anyone the time of day. Even the handsome main character of this game couldn't get her to act this friendly. She keeps the conversation going, asking if he also uses a blade as his primary weapon. Giama sheepishly says yes, then asks how she knew. Her grandfather gave her a tip. He told her that real swordsmen always have a different kind of look in their eyes. Then she actually offers him her sword to hold. Giama is feeling super awkward about this. He politely declines the offer, which honestly just makes her pout in total annoyance. He definitely hurt her feelings, but he just can't wrap his head around her being this chatty. Now pay attention, because she asks him the weirdest question next. Does he even know her? Giama is stunned. That is a crazy question to ask. Literally everyone in school knows her. She's a total celebrity. He gives a blank answer, saying he sort of knows who she is. But then she drops a bomb. She has no idea who he is and finds it unfair. It bothers her that he knows her name, while she is completely clueless about his identity. Giama points out they just met, so knowing names shouldn't be that big of a deal yet. She disagrees, claiming he could actually be a spy sent by the Demon King himself. Maybe he is just sneaking into the academy, dressed as a normal student, for some dark mission. It's pretty suspicious to see him out here, all alone this late at night, right? She seems to be talking nonsense, but it's almost like she's testing our main character. Giama throws the question right back, asking why she's out wandering around so late herself. It's obvious from her gear that she just finished a heavy training session or workout. She explains she was doing breathing exercises, but then she accidentally points at him. This gives Giama a clear view of the deep scars covering her hands. She tries to hide them quickly, but it's too late. Giama has already seen everything. Those scars are proof of her insane hard work, and Abel knows that better than anyone. Of course she'd be working this hard. People just don't understand the pressure she faces. That's the burden of the Nebulan bloodline. It's not as glamorous as it looks. They are expected to be flawless at all times. One tiny mistake makes them a target. I know what you're thinking, but here's the kicker. Abel isn't actually the top student. For the first time in her entire life, she actually lost to someone in the rankings. Surprisingly, instead of being angry, she feels this strange sense of liberation. Still, she can't stop wondering who on earth managed to beat her score. She says she wants to meet them just so she can tear them apart completely. That makes Giama literally cough in shock. He asks why she would even go that far. The reason is simple: she feels humiliated. She even begged her grandpa for their name. But that person isn't even in her class. They're a complete mystery to her right now. To make matters worse, they skipped the speech, so she had to do it instead. Giving that speech, as the second-place loser, was just way too embarrassing for her. She finally stops her rant. It's really weird for her to open up like this. Why would she share all these personal feelings with someone she literally just met? Giama finally asks the big question that's been bothering him through this whole talk. He wants to know why she is even talking to him, given her icy reputation. Trust me, you and I are going to want to hear her answer. All right, stick with me because this girl's logic is wild. She's actually being nice because he looks weak. See, her family motto is all about crushing the strong and showing mercy to the weak. Plus, her classmates are totally insufferable, which is exactly why she's a total loner with zero friends. That explains her icy attitude toward the main character back in the game world. With that settled, Abel stretches out and gets ready to head out. But before she leaves, she stops for a second to ask him one last time if he'll finally share his name. Just like before, Giama shut her down instantly. No negotiation, no nothing. Time rolls on, and surprisingly, Giama is actually enjoying a pretty peaceful life at the academy. Chloe even managed to find a new squad to hang out with, which is great, and she's fitting in perfectly. Meanwhile, Giama has been busy doing one thing: staying far away from her ever since that awkward incident in her bedroom. Sometimes, when they lock eyes, her new friends give him the ultimate death stare because of his lowly special entrant status. But Giama is totally over caring about people who trash-talk him for being a scholarship student. He's not the only special entrant anyway. There are a few others in the class, but they're all masters at keeping their distance from one another. It's like they're all stuck in a weird cycle of inferiority complexes. Still, Giama is just glad he isn't stuck in a higher tier class. That would have been a complete nightmare. By now, those elites in the Star and Dragon classes are probably busy splitting into cliques and fighting over petty power. When he first played the game, seeing all that drama was shocking. Now pay attention. Because things feel way different now that he's actually living inside this world. Just thinking about it gives him chills. On the bright side, he's finally eating like a king. And that's all thanks to a special perk he received for crushing the exams as the school's top scorer. He snagged a faculty card that lets him hit the cafeteria for any meal he wants, totally free of charge. He is so hyped about this gift that even bowing to the principal's office 3 times every single day wouldn't be enough to show his thanks. Plus, he's actually being a great student, staying on top of his work while ensuring he doesn't mess up any major plot points in the main story. He's being super careful. If he can just stay under the radar for 3 years, he's got it made. Every day is smooth sailing, as Giama keeps showing up to class without any drama. In one lesson, an old professor starts teaching them about the legendary hero Valor Jokin. He founded this academy because he knew the next generation needed training. You and I both know Giama's already an expert on this lore from the games. The big hero, Valor Jokin, went toe-to-toe with Lycan, who was the Demon King's top general and leader of the First Legion. That massive showdown lasted 20 whole years, and finally, our hero came out on top. But victory cost him an arm, and after that, Jokin's fighting days were officially over. The war was a total bloodbath of chaos and death. And even though the hero won the fight, nobody really won the war. Both sides were exhausted. Just like that, the First Great War ended in a truce. To prepare the future, Jokin built this academy as a safe haven, and both races signed a peace treaty. That single pact is the reason 700 years of peace still stand. Makes you think, doesn't it? Stick with me, you're about to watch a guy who knows a deadly secret. Peace is about to shatter. Everyone else is too comfortable, and honestly, it's no surprise. They've lived in the calm for so long. The only one he wants to warn is Medea. But warning her would change the entire plot. He has no idea what that might trigger. Even though she hates being the director, Medea sensed the coming darkness before anyone else. Her blessing of perception is incredible. She knows the world is shifting right now. To save her students, she'll be the first legend to step onto the front lines. But Giama knows the truth from the fandom wiki, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. Medea is destined to be the very first hero to fall in this bloody war. She dies fighting the Demon King's army. It's a heavy secret for him to keep alone. Knowing her fate makes everything harder. Honestly, he wishes he never read that wiki. Let that sink in for a second. Knowing your mentor's death is already written. Keeping the secret is agony. Suddenly, a massive commotion starts echoing through the academy halls. Class is over, and students are rushing out to see the chaos. It's finally starting. Giama checks his phone. It's May 5th, the day the main character finally joins them. A huge crowd gathers at the door. Everyone is already hyping up this new student. Just as expected, the game's actual protagonist makes his grand entrance through the hall. Leon Van Reinhardt walks with total confidence. People literally move out of his way. Students are in total awe. They're certain he's destined for the elite star class. Just as suspected, the main character walks through the halls while the crowd parts. Leon Van Reinhardt moves with an aura that screams he's the center of everything. He walks with total confidence, but Giama knows the grim reality behind this moment. Now here's the part you and I need to watch. 700 years of peace? Over. Giama watches everyone fawn over the guy, but he knew this would happen. After all, in the original game, every single woman he meets seems to fall for him. If this were an adulterated game, Leon would be dead before facing the boss. Among all the women drawn to him, the ones in his party are actually impressive. It's annoying to think about, but Leon will be drafted in just 3 years. Although he calls it a draft, it's more like a mandatory enlistment for everyone. If Giama gets drafted too, this will be his second time serving in the army. The hero barely managed to seal the first commander. How strong is the Demon King? There's no way the protagonist could actually lose, right? Giama can't help but wonder. Suddenly, their eyes lock. Leon flashes a perfect, charming smile right at our guy. It's like he's reassuring him, without even knowing the dark thoughts in Gama's head. He's the protagonist, after all. He's supposed to handle these kinds of world-ending threats. Giama turns to walk away from the scene, but suddenly someone calls him from behind. It's Chloe. She meekly asks if she did something wrong. Her voice is soft and innocent. He'd love to tell her that she almost cut his head off earlier, but he won't. They'll be spending the next year together. Making things awkward would be a huge mistake. He lies and says there's no problem. Being civil means fewer enemies to worry about. Chloe looks relieved. She's back to acting cute, just like he remembers from the game. But he knows the truth. She's a hidden monster. He won't let his guard down. He needs to get stronger, fast, before the fandom wiki's tragedy becomes his own reality. Those quiet days are officially over. The first hero's death is creeping closer every second. You and I just witnessed the start of something massive. Trust me, it gets wilder. All right, you and I are diving into a face-off with a total psychopath today. Even while she's out cold, he can feel the deep sorrow in her style. It's like her blade is begging for salvation, despite the massive killing intent. That bloodlust is so thick it makes his skin crawl. If she's just fighting to kill, she might be even more lethal than the Mao siblings. He snaps out of it when she suddenly asks him out for dinner. She's treating him, but warns her cooking isn't exactly 5-star quality. Just the thought of eating with her brings back those terrifying, bloody memories. His survival instincts are screaming at him to turn her down immediately. But a cute girl's puppy dog eyes are basically a high-tier weapon. It's impossible to say no to that face, even if he's internally panicking. He's worried if he goes, he might wake up in her freezer tomorrow. So instead of dinner, he comes up with a much safer alternative plan. He tells her she's the only one who can help him with a favor. That one line makes Khlo completely docile and ready to follow his lead. Watch this, Giama asks her to be his personal sword instructor instead. Later at the training grounds, he tests his limits with a wooden sword. Just as he figured, the size of the weapon doesn't break his blessing. Now, he just needs to actually learn how to swing the thing properly. Khlo is monstrously strong, making her the perfect person to train him. Plus, it's a solid excuse to dodge those dangerous dinner dates for now. To stay safe, he starts watching videos on how to survive a yandere. You and I know these tips are essential when dealing with girls like her. It seems to be working, as Khlo shows up for their meeting later. She's in casual gear with her katana strapped right to her hip. He arrived right at 8, but she's been waiting there since 6 a.m. Giama takes a second to admire her, noticing her muscles in that crop top. Her school uniform hid it well, but the girl is clearly pure power. That explains the insane strength she displayed during their first wild encounter. He hands her a wooden sword, leaving her confused why they aren't using steel. Real blades are way too risky for a simple training session like this. They aren't trying to kill each other, so wood will have to do. Chloe shrugs and gives the wooden sword a quick, casual practice swing. Her thrust is so powerful, it sends a literal shockwave through the air. The atmosphere itself is trembling from just one single, effortless strike. Giama starts having second thoughts about letting this monster train him. He'll have to be extremely careful if he wants to survive this lesson. Before they start, he pulls up his status to check his blessing again. The sword's length is fine, and his body is consistently getting stronger. It's still weird that a blessing can actually level up through experience. He's not even sure if there are hidden side effects to this power, or how much training it'll take to unlock that mysterious hidden trait. Chloe walks over to check on him, breaking his deep train of thought. He realizes that to her, he probably just looks like he's glitching out. And trust me, you and I need to see what happens when the training finally starts. Stick with me, you're about to see a training session go absolutely off the rails. He nervously asks Khlo to be gentle, then readies his wooden blade to face her. Experience was the only teacher he ever needed in his past life. He believes to master something, you can't just give a small part of yourself. You have to be ready to sacrifice your entire soul to reach the peak. His lightning-fast adaptation comes from the brutal training he received in his original class. Since he was young, he learned how to sense when he was growing or stalling. Even now, he can tell his current stance and his sword grip aren't perfect. But despite that, he knows his final stroke must always hit the target's mark. Now pay attention, because the moment he opens his eyes, everything shifts. Khlo is already charging him with full power. He barely has time to react. He narrowly dodges her first blow as she pivots and launches a second strike. He barely parries her blow as she starts moving faster and faster each second. Giama's struggling to keep up with her insane pace as the pressure keeps mounting. Worse yet, she might be holding back because he asked her to go easy. Her blade slams into his again, and the wood starts cracking from the force. Her relentless onslaught doesn't slow down as he continues to parry and dodge. He's barely hanging on, desperately blocking her strikes while searching for a single opening. With that much power, one direct hit could kill him. He's totally on defense. Before he can even think of a counter, his wooden sword finally snaps. The weapon snaps right in half. Khlo immediately tries to apologize for breaking it. She says she was being gentle, but she still ended up breaking the blade. But that's her smallest worry. The sword's length has just been drastically reduced. This means that, unfortunately for her, the conditions for the blessing are met. You and I both know something's wrong here. This isn't just a regular activation. But something is terribly wrong here. The system is glitching. The force that usually suppresses the blessing's power, instead, starts rewriting Giama's very soul. By the time it's done, his humanity has plummeted, leaving him a fighting shell. The sword god's blessing fully activates as he turns toward her once more. A menacing aura builds around him while he grips that half-broken wooden sword. Khlo steps back in shock as Giama's attitude shifts into something completely dark. While his body moves on autopilot, his mind is dragged back to his past. He suddenly finds himself in his old kitchen. Everything feels like a surreal dream. Right now, the only thing on his mind is preparing the fish before him. He doesn't remember what he was doing before this. He just needs to work. It's been a while, so he decides to handle this fish using a cleaver. As he reaches for it, a system message informs him he can't pick it. Since that's not working, he tries to grab the regular knife, but gets blocked. Once again, a message pops up telling him he's not allowed to pick that. There's only one option left for him now, the sashimi knife. That's the only blade the system actually allows him to hold right now. He remembers that holding the sashimi knife usually hurts, but he picks it up. When he finally grabs it, he realizes that he's completely and totally fine. In fact, it feels perfect, like the blade was always meant for his hand. And trust me, you and I are going to want to see what's next. Trust me, you and I are about to watch Giama lose himself to a terrifying internal voice. The voice tells him to just accept this and let go. Meanwhile, Giama stalks Khlo in reality. He grips a knife, closing the distance. Khlo screams, trying to snap him out of his trance. But it is no use. He is radiating pure bloodlust as he marches toward her. Suddenly, he lunges. Khlo barely manages to raise her sword in time to block his savage strike. The sheer force sends her flying backward. She crashes hard against the cold stone wall. He feels totally different now. This is not the boy she was just sparring with. He leaps through the air, aiming the sharp stake directly for her with zero hesitation. She rolls away just in time. She was only hit once, but her body is already failing. Khlo can barely move. She has no idea how Giama transformed like this so suddenly. She needs to find a way to end this match before he accidentally ends her life. One last time she begs him to stop, but Giama is gone, lost in his own head. He launches at her again with terrifying speed. Kho realizes there is no way she can dodge. Stick with me here, because what happens next is the difference between life and death. All she can do is scream his name as the blade swings down toward her defenseless head. Inside Giama's dream world, he wonders why the fish he is cutting keeps avoiding him. The fish is flopping around, making a lot of noise that starts to sound like actual words. He leans in, trying to make sense of the muffled sound. It is calling out a name. He leans in, trying to understand the muffled sound. It is calling a name. The noise gets clearer until he recognizes it. The fish is shouting the name, Giama. Chef Kim's mind finally begins to clear. The fog lifts and reality starts crashing back in. He realizes he is Giama, and the fish is actually Kho calling for him. He snaps back to reality just as he is about to drive that blade through her. At the absolute last second, Giama redirects his strike and slams the sword into the wall. Kho opens her eyes and sees Giama. The monster is gone, replaced by her smiling friend. The blessing has finally faded. He is back to his senses, and the danger has passed. Still shaken, she asks if he is okay. He calmly replies that he is totally fine. He thanks her for training and leaves her alone in the room to process everything. Later, Kho heads back to her dorm, reflecting on the duel. She has had a feeling. Giama's abilities are definitely more peculiar than strong. He does not fight with skill, just instinct. I think you and I can agree that Giama is more peculiar than strong. When she fought him, it was clear he wasn't using any real skill. It was just raw instinct. He subconsciously tapped into his divine power. Even with a broken wooden sword, he was able to completely overpower her. As she walks across the campus, a mysterious figure peeks from the shadows. A voice comments on her content look. This is her brother, Nox Editor. Nox mocks her for hanging around someone so lowly since joining the academy. Kho knows he's talking about Giama and warns him to watch his mouth. Nox didn't even know the kid's name, but he warns his sister right now. He tells her to avoid him, or the Editor family will simply erase him. Kho turns away, telling Nox the whole family would be no match for Giama. As she leaves, Nox stands alone, wondering what man changed his sister this much. Speaking of Giama, he takes a moment to think while walking back home alone. He reflects on his power while walking back. The blessing he felt was just the start. And trust me, you and I are about to witness some real chaos very soon. All right, you and I are diving into a power that is far from divine. It is more like a curse. To avoid relying on this god's power, he searched for new weapons. But that dark energy kept chasing him, hijacking his body as if laughing at his struggle to stay human. When he fought Kho, he felt zero pain. Instead, he felt a twisted, intoxicating pleasure. It was addicting. This so-called blessing played with him like a helpless puppet, whispering sweet, dark things into his ear, telling him to slash and destroy. He almost lost himself completely until Kho's screams finally broke the spell. She dragged him back. Suddenly, he remembered his own name and reality. He snapped back to his senses just long enough to act fast. He hurled the wooden sword away before he lost his soul forever. He knew if he didn't ditch it now, there would be nothing left. It is wild that Kho, the Yandir who almost killed him, saved him. Trust me, seeing this girl pull him back from the dark abyss is absolutely wild. He was furious she broke his sword at first, but then felt grateful. That is why he stayed quiet. He was absolutely terrified of that power waking up again. But today proved he can't just hide from the issue. He can't outrun this problem anymore. This gift is a permanent shadow hanging over him. His dream of a normal life is likely gone forever. Normalcy is dead. As he practically crawls his way back to his room, Giama feels something inside his soul trying to devour his very sanity. His reason is slipping away. This isn't some holy gift at all. It is a curse eating him alive. 3 days later, classes continue normally, but pay attention here. Something about our female lead is clearly very wrong. Ever since their duel, Giama has been a ghost. He is missing class, and since they never swapped numbers, she can't even check on him. At his dorm, her knocks go unanswered except for one haunting sound. All she hears are pained groans. She almost kicked the door down, but she's scared he'll hate her. She loves watching him during class, stealing glances when he isn't looking. She's lost count of the times she stared at him. At first, she thought it was just gratitude since he saved her life. But that's just an excuse at this point. Whatever is pulling her toward him, one thing is certain: she misses him. Another day passes, and Giama is still missing when the teacher starts yelling for the class to quiet down. It's a rainy day outside, so they are having a study hall instead of the usual training. As everyone settles in, even the instructor starts to wonder where Giama has been for several days now. But knowing that kid, there's a reason. He must have a good excuse, so the teacher decides to wait. He waits patiently for Giama to show, but then the classroom doors creak open. Giama walks in, but he's looking like a different person. Kh-Lo jumps up in pure shock as he apologizes for being late. His eyes are sunken and lifeless, as if he has seen the abyss. And get this, a single strand of his hair has turned snowy white. You and I just witnessed a total transformation. What happened to our hero? Stick with me, the teacher tells Giama to sit, but the class notices a change. He has changed, looking sharper and way more handsome. Once class ends, everyone leaves. The other students head off, leaving Kh-Lo to finally approach Giama after 4 days. She is visibly shaking as she asks where he has been and why he disappeared. Giama stays silent for a moment before giving her a standard excuse about being sick. He tells her not to worry, but looking at her face, he sees the doubt. She clearly does not buy his story, but he cannot convince her otherwise. Pay attention here, because the price Giama paid for power was absolutely terrifying. It was pure mental exhaustion, a nightmare that drained all of his energy. Unable to eat or leave his room, he just curled up, hoping for relief. He buried himself under the covers, praying for the violent convulsions to finally stop. This pain was on a whole different level, the absolute worst he had ever felt. This was the heavy price for wielding that broken weapon. Then, he saw the mirror. His face looked mostly the same, but his expression was sunken and his eyes hollow. Even his hair was starting to turn white. This was a penalty from the sword god. Looking at him, Kh-Lo seems overwhelmed with guilt, thinking this is all her fault. Since their last meeting was at the training grounds, she blames herself for his state. To ease her mind, he brings up that dinner invitation she mentioned a few days ago. He asks if she is still interested, which shocks her even more than his return. Kh-Lo almost lunges at him for a hug. It was definitely the right move. She is clearly thrilled by the suggestion, and the tension finally breaks between them. She asks what he is craving, and the first thing that pops into his head is fish. But as they talk, a chilling sensation washes over him. Someone is watching them. He glances toward the end of the hall and spots a figure, staring with intensity. You and I both know that look. It is her brother, Nox, and he is bad news. Giama does not back down. He tells the newcomer to stop staring and speak. Immediately, Giama notices something off about the guy's eyes, but Kh-Lo quickly jumps between them. She is trying to stop things from escalating, even though her voice is trembling. There is so much hesitation in her actions, but she is still determined to protect him. Nox glares at her, asking if this is really the guy she is breaking rules for. He brings up Adaro's laws, but Kh-Lo snaps back, wanting nothing to do with them. Her brother just scoffs, reminding her that you cannot just wash blood off your hands. Once you are born an auditor, you stay an auditor until the very end. Kh-Lo is acting like a rebel, while her brother sounds like a historical drama villain. This whole intense family standoff is just starting to get on Giama's nerves. Nox continues to throw insults, and that is the final straw that makes Kh-Lo snap. She screams at Nox to stop disrespecting the man she loves, shocking everyone there. Giama was hoping for a quiet day, but he is getting used to these disruptions. He realizes he has to take these auditors seriously. They thrive in the shadows. These guys are experts in the art of assassination, showing up to cause total chaos. They might be considered weaker than major heroic houses, but their lethality is unmatched. When it comes to killing in silence, no one can rival the members of this clan. Every member is ridiculously strong, having survived years of brutal, abusive training. They are the ultimate hidden blades, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They are trained monsters. Trust me, you and I need to see what happens next. Come with me, we are seeing kids being molded into cold-blooded assassination tools. For Chloe to be from this group, her cheerful personality is totally abnormal. Unlike her brother, Nox has a face that shows he is used to killing. Even though Giama does not judge, it seems Chloe wants a normal life. Much like his own sword god Blessing, Chloe had no choice in her fate. She is destined to live as a heartless murderer, and that is just tragic. Now, Giama does not see himself as a hero, and has no plans to be. But even if he cannot save the world, he can save one girl. He steps right between Chloe and her brother, facing down Nox with no fear. He once tried to escape the sword god's blessing, but it was impossible. Now, pay attention here. He is about to finally step forward and embrace this curse. After all, the name Giama literally means sword demon in their world. He walks right past the siblings and tells Nox to follow his lead. Wanbin is in his office, thinking deeply about his mysterious student. When Giama showed up for class earlier, it was obvious something had changed. His face was completely empty of emotion, and he seemed deeply, deeply troubled. Suddenly, a fellow instructor walks in, acting all cheerful despite the heavy mood. He even makes a quick joke about the man's bald head. Before they can talk, Wanbin gets an urgent call from the academy administration. They need his official okay for a student to access the subspace area. Wanbin frantically asks which of his cadets would make such a sudden request. They confirm it is Kang Giama, looking for a showdown against Nox Auditor. The stage is now officially set for the epic clash between Giama and Nox. Our main character waits alone, with only 15 minutes left on the clock. You and I both know this is just the calm before the storm. He expected getting subspace access to be a nightmare, but it was easy. It was fast, likely thanks to media pulling some strings for him. She just wanted him to stay safe while fighting a professional assassin. Since this is a virtual battle, he does not need to worry about wounds. However, the risk of suffering severe mental trauma is still very, very real. But honestly, none of that matters as long as he walks away the winner. From the waiting room, he can hear the crowd roaring outside. It seems the fight between these two has already generated massive hype. It is ironic since he was trying so hard to keep a low profile. But right now, all that secrecy feels totally and completely pointless. Beside him, Chloe is practically drowning in a sea of guilt. She clearly blames herself for this entire dangerous situation starting. Giama tries to reassure her that none of this is her fault. She even lent him her gear, so he's feeling ready for the clash. She warns him that Nox is a monster, a genius with unmatched talent. He is the most gifted child in the family's entire history. When it comes to the dark arts, absolutely nobody is on his level. At just 14, they were already calling him the pinnacle of dark arts. Trust me, you and I are about to see just how dangerous he is. His past. Stick with me, his teacher always said he was destined for the blade. He never thought he would still be using sashimi knives in another life. Suddenly, an announcement says the subspace battle is about to begin. He leaves the locker room after reassuring Khlo that he will definitely win. Stepping into the arena, he is hit by the cheering of the students. Giama feels like a legendary gladiator because this atmosphere is just that intense. In the distance, he sees the entire star class and the game characters. Nox enters the arena and immediately starts demanding all of the attention. The assassin is clearly insulted that Giama would challenge him with kitchen tools. This guy has serious killing intent, making him a very dangerous opponent indeed. Now watch this. Nox walks out and starts demanding all the attention. He is clearly insulted that Giama would challenge him with kitchen tools. This assassin has serious killing intent, making him a very dangerous opponent. It would be best if Giama tries his hardest to avoid provocation. But instead, he taunts him, saying masters never blame their own gear. Nox pulls out his S-rank weapon, the famous two Hungarian blades. Along with that sword, he also has the powerful blessing of the crow. But Giama is standing ready with a pair of cheap, discount kitchen knives. Truly, this is going to be a battle for the ages right now. The subspace barrier deploys, and both students charge before it even finishes. Giama triggers his painless blessing as his knives activate a sword god's buff. The crowd watches in awe as they can barely see the action inside. You and I can see the truth, but the crowd is completely lost. Everyone expected the elite assassin to stomp the special admission student instantly. But they are moving so fast that most students cannot even track. Even the star class is surprised by how interesting this fight has become. Abel is stunned because the guy she called weak has such insane skills. But Abel knows the truth that no one else can see. Only those seeing the match clearly will understand what is really happening here. Giama is perfectly dodging every hit like he is not even trying yet. Meanwhile, Nox is getting even more agitated because his crow blessing is failing. He thought he would annihilate him, but Giama handles everything like it is nothing. Now that Nox sees his opponent's skill, he decides to get much more cautious. He aims for a powerful strike that can slice through a huge area. Suddenly, Giama drops the sashimi knife he brought with him to the match. He pulls out the rosy blade that was given to him by Khlo. Just looking at his confidence makes the assassin even more furious right now. Nox refuses to believe a nobody like him could stand so tall. He gathers every bit of his aura for one last devastating killing strike. But the smile on Giama's face says the match is already over. Everyone in the star class is leaning in to witness the grand finale. The air in the arena feels heavy as the final clash begins. One single movement is going to decide who walks away a winner today. Giama steps forward, his power finally exploding for the world to witness. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me, you and I are about to see this big shot get a reality check. As Giama charges his attack, Nox counters with a strike aimed to finish the main character. But before he can even move, Giama goes on the offensive and ends this in a flash. Giama just wanted a normal life by sticking to the rules and avoiding any attention. He tried his best not to stand out, but now everything is about to change. He has surrendered his body to the sword god to cut Nox down with absolute precision. His goal is to slice him so cleanly that Nox won't even realize he was hit. Now pay attention. The crowd goes dead silent as Nox's arm suddenly flies through the air. Still gripping his blade, the arm falls limply to the ground as everyone watches in shock. This marks the start of his legend and the end of his peaceful future. Giama turns around to finish the job, slicing Nox into pieces and ending the battle. The subspace barrier drops and the spectators are still frozen in a state of total disbelief. Nox is on the floor, gasping for air with his severed arms lying right beside him. Giama sheathes his blade as the announcer declares him the official winner of the match. Giama isn't surprised the crowd isn't cheering. They can't even process what just happened here. He just showed off insane power while only using a knife meant for gutting fish. Despite his godlike strength, he still thinks cutting through people is just way too unpleasant. Their only consolation is that they were in a subspace, so nobody was actually killed. Both the Mao brothers and Nox are safe, even if their pride is completely shattered now. Nox is still struggling on the ground, and Giama can't help but admire the man's grit. He's exactly as strong as Khlo described, with battle instincts sharpened through years of experience. However, anyone would be able to sense his moves through that overwhelming killing intent. The announcer yells that Giama won, finally snapping the crowd out of their deep shock. Suddenly, the arena is filled with cheers and disbelief that a first year took down a sophomore. You and I just saw a first-year wreck an elite sophomore, absolutely wild. Giama's unassuming life is dead, but this is the path he chose to take. Now that things have come to this, he just has to endure it with sheer will. Even by the next morning, people are still buzzing about the legendary duel yesterday. In the star class, Abel stares out the window, her mind completely consumed by one person. Because of that match, his name follows her everywhere she goes on campus now. It's almost as if he's the only person that anyone at the academy is talking about. When she saw the fight herself, she couldn't believe what was happening either. He displayed such incredible swordsmanship while only using a pair of simple kitchen knives. Watching his mastery of the blade made her feel like a total amateur with her sword. In fact, he was so good she's convinced he's the secret student her grandfather mentioned. That makes her even more frustrated because she talked to him like he was weak. In reality, he's way stronger than her, and that annoying thought is keeping her wide awake. Her loud grumbling is enough to wake up her seat partner, the blue-haired Rachel. Abel quickly apologizes, but Rachel can tell right away that something is seriously wrong. She tries to play it off by saying she's just frustrated about missing her workout. But Rachel can see through that instantly and starts guessing what's really on her mind. The student Abel can't stop thinking about has flipped her whole world upside down. Abel tries to play it off by saying she's just frustrated by her lack of progress. She claims she hasn't been able to work out, but Rachel sees right through it. Trust me, you and I can tell that she's about to crack under the pressure. All right, you and I are about to dive into some serious boy trouble. Rachel just loses it, laughing at the thought of Abel wanting romance. Meanwhile, Abel desperately tries to explain it is not what she thinks. Rachel ignores her entirely, focusing only on finding this mystery main character. She starts checking off names to see who got her friend so flustered. She cycles through the options, starting with Leon, the school's handsome star. But Abel's deadpan reaction says it all. It is definitely not that guy. That leaves just one person, the special duel student from yesterday's fight. The one who shocked the entire school with his insane hidden strength. Abel freezes up, unable to deny it, which gives Rachel all she needs. That is all Rachel needs to know, and she quickly grabs her friend. Now watch this, we are finally going to meet the boy on everyone's mind. The two of them barge into Tiger class, with Abel following along reluctantly. The whole class freezes in shock as these two school beauties walk in. As they make their way inside, Rachel hops right onto someone's desk. Someone tries to scold her for suddenly jumping on another student's seat. She completely confuses the guy just by showing him how pretty she is. Abel can only hide her face in total embarrassment at her friend's actions. Eventually, they find Giama sleeping while Chloe hovers over him like a fan. Rachel assumes Chloe is the girlfriend, but that does not matter to her. It only makes things more fun as she leans in and blows on him. Abel and Chloe are speechless as he slowly begins to wake up now. She sits right on his desk with a flirty look and asks his name. Giama knows exactly who she is, though, and he is not exactly thrilled. Seeing another game heroine appearing out of nowhere is his absolute worst nightmare. She pokes his face and compliments his looks while he stares in shock. He has no idea what is happening, but his intuition is going wild. You and I both know that feeling. His instincts are screaming danger right now. Suddenly, a very angry Chloe grabs Rachel's hand before she can touch him. Chloe demands to know what she thinks she's doing, her anger boiling over. That murderous intent only amuses Rachel, proving Giama's instincts were totally right. Chloe has completely flipped, revealing a dark side he never expected to see. She pulls a box cutter out of thin air, full yandere mode engaged. A knife fight in the classroom would cause some serious problems for him. This is a wild scenario he has never actually seen in the game. He can only wonder why this is happening while Abel tries to help. Abel attempts to drag her friend away since this is not their classroom. But Rachel is not moving. She claims she is only here to say hello. Then, just to pour salt in the wound, she patronizingly pats Chloe's head. She tells the girl that children shouldn't interrupt when the adults are talking. That just makes Chloe even more furious as she snaps open her blade. She prepares to strike, while Giama and Abel watch in total shock now. Chloe tries to stab her, but her hand is easily caught by Rachel. She is just pointlessly provoking Chloe, making Abel scream at her to stop. Stick around, because you and I need to see how this mess ends. Stick with me, we are diving into a massive classroom brawl. He tosses Chloe away, but she catches herself before hitting the floor. Every boy screams in joy as Giama watches the weird build-up here. Then Rachel activates a blessing born from her spear Saint clan bloodline. In her world, skills are useless against raw and overwhelming strength. Brute force triumphs overall, which is their clan motto. This law is the foundation for everything her people believe in. Rachel Diora, the niece of the Spear Saint, lives by this too. She bluntly asks Giama if Chloe is actually supposed to be his girlfriend. Our main character says no, causing Chloe to turn her aggression toward him. He says they are just friends, making Rachel even more interested now. Meanwhile, Giama still tries to figure out this whole world of drama. Pay attention here, because our main character is finally starting to wake up. He scans the room and notices Abel looking just as stressed out. He cuts to the point and asks why they came for him. Rachel says it is because Abel wanted to see his face. Abel yells that Rachel basically kidnapped her to bring her along today. Rachel laughs, saying Abel followed her straight to the tiger classroom. As the class stares, Abel tries to explain it was a misunderstanding. But now Giama has zero patience left and just wants them out. He tells them bluntly to leave, which shocks both of the girls. Rachel can barely hold back her laughter while looking at him now. I know what you're thinking. Is she really being that bold? She invites him to her dorm for ungodly activities, triggering Chloe. Chloe screams at her to back off, but even Abel reaches her limit. She can barely hide her jealousy at Rachel's aggressive and shameless flirting. Realizing things might explode, Rachel finally decides it is time to exit. She promises to see him later, but he quickly shoots her down. The girls finally leave, and Giama goes back to sleep like always. Chloe rushes to check on him, while Abel pauses at the door. She steals one last longing look at Giama before finally walking away. As they head back, Rachel is impressed by Giama's cold attitude. It was more than being cool, those hollow eyes sent a message. She felt that if she kept poking him, he might slit her throat. Her curiosity turned to chills, as he far exceeded every single expectation. From that glimpse, she can tell he is leagues above the fakes. The star class students are all style and zero substance to her. Her clan never holds back when securing the most powerful elite warriors. To her, he is a precious resource she has no intention of losing. She already knows he is a step above the substance-less star class. Her family pulls no punches when it comes to choosing their warriors. They always aim for the most outstanding fighters for their future betrothal. He is a precious resource that she has no intention of letting go. So what do you and I make of this? Trouble is brewing. Abel just feels like she should apologize to all the tiger students. All right, stick with me. Rachel is making a move that changes the whole game. She is done playing nice and won't back down now that she wants Kang Giama. Meanwhile, over at the school clinic, Knox is dragging himself through the halls. He is stalking through the halls with nothing but murder on his mind. He has never tasted defeat before, always praised as the ultimate auditory genius. But a nobody just crushed him using nothing but basic kitchen knives. Just seeing Giama's face makes his blood boil with insane levels of rage. He is ready to summon his entire clan just to take Giama's head. Once the main character is dead, he plans on taking K.H. back for good. To him, K.H. has massive potential that might even surpass his own power. No way he lets some random special admissions kid steal her away. One call to his clan, and they will show this brat true fear. Now pay attention. This is exactly where the tables get turned on Knox. The very target he wants to kill is calmly eating an apple in his room. Before this confrontation, Giama was watching K.H. during their class session. Even though those other girls left, K.H. is still clearly in a dark place. It is pretty wild considering she was the one who pulled the weapon first. Giama approaches her, hoping he can talk some sense into her troubled mind. He is confident he can talk her out of whatever mental break is coming. Still, he really wishes she would at least put that box cutter away for a second. He asks about Knox, and she sadly mentions her brother is in the ward. That is weird because you cannot actually get hurt inside the subspace. There should be absolutely no reason for him to need medical help. Kh says he was admitted despite having 0 physical injuries on him. She tells Giama not to worry, but our hero knows something is off. Giama cannot stop thinking about it as he walks through the halls. Nox might have lost, but he is not weak enough to be traumatized by that. To keep things from spiraling, he decides to pay Nox a little visit. He gets the room number from Kh to settle this once and for all. He even gives her a head pat, a classic move to handle a yandere. I know what you're thinking. Does that really work? Well, look where we are. Nox is stunned to see the main character standing right there in his room. Giama just mocks the fancy room, saying the auditories must be loaded with cash. It is a pretty expensive setup for a guy who does not have a scratch. Before Nox can even ask how he got in, Giama reaches for a sharp skinning knife. Nox tenses up, thinking Giama is there to finish the job right now. But instead of an attack, Giama just grabs another fresh apple. He peels it with perfect precision and leaves it sitting on the table. Giama turns to leave, walking right past the trembling assassin without a care. He tells him to eat his veggies, which only makes Nox even more furious. Nox pulls a hidden blade from his sleeve, ready for a cowardly sneak attack. Predicting the move, Giama drops a cold warning that freezes the whole air. If you try for revenge, I will end you and your entire clan forever. He promises to shred everyone in a datter if they ever cross him again. Trust me, you and I just watched a legend put this genius in his place. You and I are about to see just how fast our main character can move. Nox did not even notice his apple being sliced. Giama leaves the medical wing now. His mission was a success. Right now, Nox is like a candle flickering in the wind. His pride is gone, and his spirit is totally broken by Giama's insane levels of intimidation. He just hopes this massive bluff doesn't come back to bite him in the end. After all, the Adatori clan is a legendary group of assassins you don't want to fight. There is no way he can solo an entire clan with only 30 seconds of power. Sure, he could drop 10 guys in half a minute, but a whole clan is different. That is a total nightmare scenario. Honestly, Giama wants to avoid killing as much as possible. He is a pacifist at heart, but as he walks back under the moonlight tonight, he feels like he is standing right in the eye of a weird, magical storm. Life is getting crazier, but he is finally starting to get used to the constant chaos. As long as Nox stays quiet, he should not have to worry about things getting insane. Pay attention here, because this is where the story takes a massive, unexpected turn. He has to deal with Rachel, the one girl he was desperately trying to avoid. In the original game, she was supposed to go after the main hero named Abel. But now she is approaching him instead. The timeline is officially starting to change drastically. He also needs to prep for midterms if he wants to get that top-tier reward. The test is no joke. It is a 5-student group mission to hunt monsters. Teams are picked randomly, focusing on teamwork rather than just individual prowess and raw power. On a real battlefield, having faith in your comrades is way more important than anything. The best move for a weak student is finding strong teammates to carry the weight. Luckily, the monsters for this hunt are not exactly a massive threat to the students. They are hunting mermen, gross, slimy, demonic mermen that look absolutely disgusting in real life. Giama remembers them from the game. Facing them in person is going to be even worse. Now let's be real, we all know these tests are never as easy as they sound. If they were mermaids, it would be fine, but mermen are just ugly and gross. See, mermaids are considered demonic humans and serve as the main force of the army. They are way more powerful. Compared to them, these merman monsters are just guard dogs. Fortunately, there are only monsters on the island, so students should be safe from demons. It has been a month since Giama arrived at this school and started his journey. This is his first night of actual peace. 700 years have passed since the truce. But history is never perfect. There have always been small clashes between humans and demons. A major example was 50 years ago when a Legion commander tried a dark ritual. Vasman claimed he would revive a dead commander, which sparked a week of brutal battles. The city was bathed in blood. In the end, humanity won and 7 heroes emerged. But victory cost them 3 heroes, and both factions finally decided to stop the fighting. Peace has lasted since then, but Giama starts wondering about the true state of things. Is this peace real, or just a temporary mask hiding something much darker underneath it? He looks at the moon and thinks about the secrets hidden within this game world. The history he knows might not be the full story of what really happened back then. Midterms are just the beginning of a much larger struggle that he must soon face. He needs to get stronger, fast, if he wants to survive the coming tide of war. Every choice he makes is rippling out and changing the fate of everyone around him. But Giama starts wondering, and trust me, you and I should probably be worried too. All right, you and I are about to dive into a world where peace is a fragile lie. The warrior who sealed the first Legion commander 700 years ago was a true monster. Compare that to the 6th commander. It took 7 elites to even stand a chance. Even with those numbers, lives were lost. Now, only 3 years remain until the storm hits. The Second Great War is coming, and this time, the Demon King is joining the fight. That future is nightmare fuel, but worrying won't change a single thing for our hero. Giama has to stay focused. Forget the apocalypse, he has midterms to worry about first. Step 1, find a team, but that is way harder than it sounds for him. Mostly because he has 0 friends. Yet, he is currently the Academy's most talked about student. He might just be able to use that fame to solve his little social problem. Trust me, there is no way he's staying under the radar for 3 years. So, Giama decides to pivot. He is ditching his old motto to survive the school year. He'll stop trying to be invisible, but he still wants a comfortable, easy life. He tries his best to recruit people, but a week later, he's still totally solo. Not one person invited him, not even a pity offer from the bottom-tier students. Turns out everyone is just terrified of him. He scans the room and spots someone. The only other loner in the class is Kh. She's become a total social outcast. Ever since that massive fight with her brother ended in his total defeat, anyway. Or maybe it's her attitude toward Rachel. Either way, Giama decides to approach her. He asks if she is still looking for cadets to partner with for the test. She's as alone as he is, and honestly, Giama is actually getting pretty worried. He's used to being solo, but she actually had friends before all this drama. Now, they're all gone. She claims she'll be fine as long as he's around, though. He officially offers to team up, so they can hunt for 3 more members together. Kh is a total powerhouse, making her a massive asset for any serious squad. He only has a 30-second limit, so she's like 30 soldiers in one cute package. You and I both knew this piece wouldn't last. Look who's charging in right now. It's Rachel, shouting for Giama. He makes absolutely no effort to hide his annoyance. Kh doesn't hide her bloodlust either, immediately reaching for her trusty box cutter. Rachel keeps nagging him, even leaning right over his desk to get his attention. She asks if he's found a group for the upcoming test yet. Classic Rachel move. She isn't listening anyway, so he just tells her the truth about his situation. His lack of a team is perfect for her, so she invites him immediately. Giama is suspicious. There's a mile-long line of students dying to join her squad. So why in the world is she coming after him specifically? Something feels off. She just says he seems way more fun than anyone else in the entire class. Giama points out he's already teamed up with Kh, but she doesn't even blink. It doesn't matter, since Rachel's group just happens to have 2 spots wide open. Giama is still smelling a rat. This is a massive risk for someone like her. If they fail the island test, her top-tier grades will take a massive hit. He looks at Kh, and she gives him a reluctant nod of approval. They're in. With no more excuses left, he tells Rachel they will join her little squad. Rachel immediately whips out her phone to text someone before he can even blink. She tells him there's no backing out now. Then, Giama asks who else is joining. And let's be real, you and I never expected her to say, Leon, oh boy. All right, stick with me because Giama just met the fake protagonist he hates most. He's literally the last person our main character ever wanted to see again. Giama wonders what sins he committed in a past life for such bad luck. Sure, he spent 30 years swinging a knife, but that was just work. Now he's getting dragged into a mess with the heroines for no reason. Even though he tries playing it cool, the main plot keeps pulling him in. At least the girls are total eye candy, so that part isn't all bad. But here's the part we need to watch out for: Leon van Reinhardt. He's the true hero, and one wrong move will flip the story sideways. Giama has zero clue how the future is going to play out now. But he's absolutely positive that everything will somehow end up being his fault. He tried to swap groups, but Rachel already signed him up without asking. The application is done. This is the first time in his entire life that he's actually considered taking his blade to a girl. And then there's her. The biggest issue, the terrifying Yandere girl sitting in his own class right now. Speak of the devil, she shows up asking why he looks so totally petrified. He just tells her he's feeling stressed about the upcoming exam with elites. Being stuck with star-class cadets, yeah, that's enough to freak anyone out. Lo insists he's the strongest one there, and he just gives a weak thanks. He did technically pick her as a teammate, so he can't ditch her now. Plus, being rational for a second, she's actually the best partner he's got. This might actually turn out okay, if only he wasn't such a pessimistic guy. He asks when the group meeting is, and Lo points them to a cafe. It's a spot right on campus, and it's almost time to get going. Since it's getting late, Giama suggests they start heading over there right now. They arrive first and order some drinks. Lo goes for something fancy. She gets a delicious avocado smoothie, and man, does it look expensive. Giama's watching her with pure envy, realizing how much that single cup costs. Then he takes a sip of his own cheap espresso and almost dies. Now let's pause. We've all had coffee this bad, but this is next level. The faculty cards don't work here, so he has to pay with real cash. While rethinking his life choices, his phone buzzes with a text from Rachel. She says she's arriving, and suddenly she's walking in with the whole squad. Leon is right behind her, and finally, Giama and Leon lock eyes. This is it, their first contact. Then Giama spots the guy next to them. First impression, this new guy looks like a total high school delinquent. Leon is the first to step up, reaching out for a formal handshake. Giama takes it, and Leon immediately praises him for that recent subspace battle. Just by the way the guy talks, you can tell he's pure class. He's the perfect mix of brains and status, a real threat to Giama's peace. They take their seats, and Rachel suggests everyone does a proper introduction. Leon goes first, introducing himself as the leader and a star-class student. He somehow ended up in charge, and he seems genuinely excited to start. He says he's looking forward to working with everyone, such a nice guy. And that's where we leave it. Trust me, you'll want to see what's next. Stick with me, because you are about to meet a guy named Speed Weapon. He hails from the elite star class and keeps his intro short and sweet. Giama is totally fixated on that weird name though. Next up is Lo. She is a Wolf class student who only made the cut thanks to Giama. Rachel immediately starts roasting her for calling our boy Giama Giamkun instead. They have a brief intense stare down before Lo decides to just chill out. She sighs and finishes her piece. Then it is finally Giama's turn. He is somehow even more blunt and brief than Speed Weapon was earlier. Just his name and class, that is it. The group feels the awkwardness. Leon breaks the silence by pulling out a laptop to start the briefing. Time for the main event. He hits a key and a hologram pops up. It is a map of their exam location. They are heading to Scapulae Island. They will be warped directly to a specific drop zone on the island. They use a subspace gate to get there, but here is the catch. Pay attention, because once they arrive, the danger is 100% real. Demonic beasts can actually hurt them, so they better watch their backs. Their squad is hitting the northeast coast, along with 2 other rival groups. Their target, mermen, but there is only a tiny amount of them available. The goal is simple: hunt down as many mermen as they possibly can. Presentation over. Leon wraps things up and asks if anyone has questions. Speedwagon pipes up first asking if there are any other hidden dangers. The staff already checked, and apparently there are 0 other monsters there. They did their homework to make sure mermen are the only threat around. No demons or extras. Then Kh asks a question that shocks everyone. You saw that too, right? She just asked if they can ambush others. Leon keeps his cool and says this is strictly a beast hunt. Attacking other students will get you disqualified faster than you can blink. Clearly, those old assassin habits are hard for her to just shake off. No more questions. Leon dismisses the group and tells them to get ready. They need to be prepared for midterms before their next meeting tomorrow. Everyone leaves the cafe except for Giama and Leon. Things get quiet. It is super awkward, so Giama tries to bolt, but Leon stops him. The fake main character suddenly asks Giama where he actually came from. Giama freezes and thinks about why Leon is asking such a weird question. He has heard this before, but Leon's version feels way more intense. Leon looks deadly serious, and Giama just cannot read his poker face. He could have asked this earlier, during the introductions, in front of everyone. But Leon waited until they were alone to ask. He was very specific about the timing. Silence stretches between them. Leon eventually apologizes for being so random with such a heavy question. He admits he just feels like Giama is somehow very similar to him. Since this game was made in Korea, the language is the same everywhere. But other cultures still exist. Giama obviously looks like he is from Korea. So why would Leon ask that? Trust me, this mystery goes deep. They are similar. Giama stays silent trying to figure out Leon's game. All right, you and I are diving into a secret that changes everything. Leon stands up to leave, telling him to just forget what he heard. But Giama stops him, flipping the script to ask where Leon really originated. It was a reflex move that he regrets instantly, but he needs answers. If he doesn't find out tonight, he won't sleep. Leon just takes his hand. He tells our main character he is from Germany before walking away in silence. Giama is left alone, wondering what the hell is suddenly going on with Leon. In that moment, he wondered if Leon was actually from another world too. It sounds totally crazy, but here, it's a very real and terrifying possibility. There is no rule saying only one person can get pulled into this game. Besides, possessing the hero is way more likely than being a random extra. Giama looks at the knife on the table and suddenly gets a plan. Now pay attention here, because his next move is a total gamble. When his sword God Blessing activates, his senses become insanely sharp. Maybe this power can reveal the truth. He grabs the knife and uncovers it. A message flashes in his mind just like he hoped. Leon belongs here. The voice feels just like when he fought Kh with his blessing active. He can hear it faintly, but focusing on it causes a massive migraine. The pain is so sharp it even breaks through his painless blessing. Regardless, this Leon is definitely the character he played in the original game. No actor could ever replicate him that perfectly. It is just too strange. You and I saw that, right? That question was way too suspicious. He checks the wiki, but there is no mention of Leon in this world. Things are getting way too weird, so Giama decides to keep his distance. If things go south again, he'll just go find Media instead of him. He'll just ignore her attempts to escape. Honestly, he feels surprisingly calm lately. Despite all the chaos, he is steady. Maybe it's an effect of his blessings. He pulls up his status screen to check on his recent progress. His mental strength is steady, but his physical stats are definitely rising. All that training is paying off, and his gear is getting better too. He expects to grab the Murasame sword during the midterm exams very soon. The only mystery is his assimilation rate, which is climbing way too fast. It is about to unlock something special, likely tied to his recent actions. It is annoying not knowing the details, but he can't exactly ask anyone. Then he spots something new at the very bottom of the status screen. His painlessness blessing increased by 10 seconds. That is a massive boost. He can now use it for 40 seconds total. His hard work is finally working. As time passes, the groups meet up to plan their exam battle strategies. Giama keeps honing his skills every day until the exam finally begins. Everyone gathers at the subspace gate, and the vibe here is totally different. It is much more intense than the training grounds. His team finally shows up. They look ready for action. The pressure is starting to build up now. Every student is on edge as they prepare to step into the unknown. Giama takes a deep breath. This is what all that training was for. Trust me, you and I are not going to want to miss this. All right, you and I are diving into a midterm exam where one mistake means game over. They have locked in their roles, and Rachel is taking point as their primary heavy-hitting damage dealer. Leon steps up as the tactical leader in the center to keep the squad unified. Speed Weapon provides support right behind Leon while the others prepare for combat. KHLO teams up with Rachel to add even more firepower to the front line. Finally, Giama covers the rear, completing a rock-solid formation. He checks out their equipment. Giama is impressed by their high-level gear. Rachel's weapon is seriously top-tier. She is wielding an S-rank halberd called the Vermilion Phoenix. It looks absolutely devastating. Leon doesn't have his bowman skills yet, but his sword is still incredibly powerful. Next, Speed Weapons gear is a recorder. Didn't know the support was also the DJ. Rachel explains that this musical instrument is actually rare S-rank gear, designed for healing. Even Giama knows that finding an S-rank healing armament is like winning the lottery. Owning something that powerful is incredible. Giama moves in for a closer look at it. But pay attention here, their little chat gets cut short by the school's intercom. The announcement rings out across the entire facility. The first-year midterm exams are starting. The instructor for Wolf class, Lee Wanbin, approaches the students to give his final exam brief. They already have a good grasp of the rules, so he keeps his discussion brief. He tells them straight up, do not be afraid to run if things get dangerous. There is no reason to die for extra credit. If they get hurt, they surrender. All they have to do is call for an instructor if they need to quit. With the exam about to kick off, Lee Wanbin tells them to stay calm and focus. But KHLO is looking pretty stressed. Giama notices and asks her exactly what is wrong. She mentions the rumors about dangerous mermaids on the island, but Giama tries to reassure her. He tells her the instructors checked everything and confirmed that the area is totally safe. KHLO wants to believe him, but her nerves are still shot. She just cannot shake it. Back in Sicily, where she grew up, mermaid sightings were common and usually meant a major disaster. Humans have a truce with demonic beings now, so they're rarely seen outside of dungeons. But those rumors still haunt her, especially since the conditions for their appearance are unknown. She is worried because the truce might not matter here, and conditions are not fully confirmed. Giama gently places a hand on her head to calm her down before they enter the gate. The teachers call for the cadets to step through the gate and finally begin the test. KHLO smiles and puts her trust in Giama. Much later, she hears his voice calling. Her mind feels hazy, like she lost her grip on reality for a brief moment. Wait, you saw that too, right? In an instant, everything has flipped on its head. When she finally opens her eyes, the team is facing off against something massive. Rachel asks Speed Weapon if he has reached the instructors, but there is a problem. They are stuck deep inside a cave, and his phone has 0 bars for signal. Nearby, one of their own is on the ground, bleeding and in serious trouble. Standing right in front of them is the nightmare they feared, an actual hostile mermaid. Let us back up a bit and see how they ended up in this situation. As soon as they landed on Scopuli Island, the gate's transition hit them very hard. The squad is struggling with severe motion sickness after stepping through that magic portal. Giama is the only one standing tall, claiming he is completely immune to the nausea. Their peace does not last long. They immediately stumble upon their first monster, a merman. And that's where we leave it, trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. Check this out, these creatures are way smaller than Giama actually expected. Leon confirms the small ones won't give them any points. To find the adults, the group heads to their assigned location. Chloe scouts ahead, while the rest follow at a slower pace. Eventually, they arrive, and Chloe returns to give her report. She has seen something important during her scouting trip. There is a cave 500 meters ahead, and she leads the way. Before they even enter the ominous cave, dozens of eyes stare back. Leon counts roughly 60 mermen, all gathered around a campfire deep inside. Defeating them, all would basically guarantee first place in these midterms. But their safety has to come before anything else right now. The risks are high, their group is completely on their own here. Entering that cave cuts off their internet, making instructor contact impossible. Now here's the high-risk gamble. It all depends on their leader, Lion. He's spent so much time planning everyone's specific role for this mission. Now it's time for him to lead them to victory again. Lion makes his call and sends Rachel in to start the attack. Rachel leans back and launches a golden spear into the cave. It lands right on the fire, plunging the mermen into total darkness. Before they can react, Rachel is already right on top of them. In a split second, several merman heads go flying through the air. Their support focusing his power, next to buff Rachel's deadly skills. It's easy for her to pick them off one by one now. Giama watches in absolute awe at how powerful Rachel has become. Kh-Lo notices, and the Yandere pulls her katana to join the hunt. She immediately rushes in to match Rachel's insane kill count. Both girls are absolutely tearing through mermen while charging directly toward each other. They aren't slowing down even as they get closer and closer to colliding. Giama starts getting worried. They have no intention of stopping for anything. They're inches apart before turning to kill the final merman together. With the last threat gone, they finally step away from each other. Giama breathes a huge sigh of relief as they continue the sweep. In the end, he was worrying about those two for absolutely nothing. Eventually, with their combined efforts, all 60 mermen were completely slain. Lion suggests they head somewhere else to continue their midterm exam. That kind of leadership is exactly why the blonde hero is essential. He's the heart of the team, proving his worth once again. You and I can see it, Lion really is the true protagonist. No one else could possibly replicate those qualities of a real hero. As Gama's thoughts wander, he loses sight of Lion for a second. He looks back just in time to see the blonde hero hit the floor. A fatal stomach blow leaves the others staring in pure shock. Something powerful rises from the pool of dead mermen behind Giama. It's the exact demonoid mermaid Kh-Lo was terrified would show up unannounced. Things were going too smoothly for us. Now what happens next? Stick with me, the team is stuck between running and fighting a death trap. Escaping while carrying a severely injured Lion is practically impossible for them right now. Rachel tells Speed Weapon to call the instructors about the mermaid's sudden appearance. But as Giama feared, the cave is blocking their signal to the outside. With no way to contact help, pure panic starts setting in for everyone. In this chaotic mess, Giama seems to be the only one actually keeping his cool. Since Lion is completely out of the fight, they need a new leader. That's when Giama takes charge and starts barking orders at his terrified teammates. He tells Rachel to hold that merman back and keep it away at all costs. Then he commands Speed Weapon to use every healing blessing he has on Lion. Finally, he snaps Kh-Lo out of her daze and tells her to get help. She hesitates for a second, but eventually realizes he's right and runs for the exit. With the plan in motion, everyone finally knows their role in this struggle for survival. Now watch this part closely. Giama is about to do something absolutely suicidal. He steps toward the mermaid, leaving everyone else in a state of total shock. He leaves the merman to the others, claiming the mermaid as his own target. To him, she's just a big fish, and slicing fish is his actual specialty. Demons possess a terrifying and unique power that is known as magic. This magic is lethal enough to drop the protagonist in just one hit. That's the massive power gap between an ordinary human and a true demon. Even with the sword god's blessing, his survival is definitely not guaranteed. In the original game, soloing a magic-using demon was considered a suicide mission. Yet here he is, preparing to face a high-level raid boss completely alone. Gama's in deep, and you saw that, right? He's in big trouble. It will take Kh-Lo at least 10 minutes to return with help from the staff. But Giama only has 40 seconds to end this before he meets a gruesome end. Rachel struggles with the merman, while Speed Weapon pours his energy into healing Lion. The wound is deep and nasty, but the healing magic is starting to work. Even while working, Speed Weapon can't take his eyes off the insane scene before him. Just the aura of that mermaid is enough to make his whole body shake. And yet, there's Giama, standing tall and ready to face the monster by himself. The demon attacks first, firing the same deadly laser that almost killed Lion. Giama narrowly dodges the blast and lunges forward with his knife to close the gap. This mermaid clearly prefers long-distance combat, using her powerful water magic to stay safe. Giama doesn't understand magic, but he knows a physical body can still be cut. All he needs to do to win is get close enough to deliver a strike. He leaps toward the demon and slashes, but she's fast and targets Speed Weapon instead. Before she can strike his friend, Giama spins around and manages to slice her fin. The monster screams in agony as her blood spills across the dark cave floor. That first cut was way too shallow, so our main character prepares for another assault. But she's too quick, dissolving into a pool of water before he can hit again. It's clear that the mermaid is strategically targeting the weakest and most injured members first. Lion is finally starting to wake up, and Speed Weapon urgently calls out to Giama. It looks like their friend is going to make it, and Giama pauses to check. You and I just saw a masterclass in staying calm, but this fight isn't over. Stick with me, you and I are about to watch Giama charge back at that mermaid. To Speed Weapon, seeing Giama in action right now is just incredibly cool. He always looked up to heroes who sacrificed themselves for the sake of others. But ever since entering the academy, he had not seen any real heroes. He joined Rachel specifically to find that heroic ideal within the Lion group. He had even told Giama bluntly that he was far from a hero. Yet here he is, watching Giama risk everything to save them in this nightmare. The mermaid fires magic blasts that our main character skillfully dodges. Now watch this. This is where the fight gets even more dangerous. The blasts do not just miss, they curve around and keep following him. The mermaid has total control over these attacks as they hunt him down. With Giama busy dodging, the monster tries to strike at Speed Weapon again. Giama moves like lightning to intercept the beast before it can land a hit. His slash hits the mark, but it is just another shallow wound. Small cuts will not win this, he has to finish the job now.